Welcome to the Heart of a Viking. These art lessons are taught by Mrs. Minto from the Cape Henlopen School District in Delaware. I hope you have fun, create imaginative works of art, and make sure you share them with someone because, after all, the visual arts are meant to be seen. All right, fifth grade sculptors. So today we're going to be using some model magic. Model magic is a type of sculpting material made by Crayola. You can buy it at Walmart, Amazon, or Michael's craft store, or anywhere where you normally see like art supplies being sold. So check it out and see if you can get yourself some. It kind of feels like marshmallows when you play with it, but it's really cool because you can pull it apart and stick it back together for sculpting. You can change the color of it. I only ever purchased white for the art room here. However, it does come in some pretty amazing colors. So if your family is purchasing some for you and you want to buy some in color, you absolutely can do that. You can still do this project with color. It doesn't have to be white like mine is. All right, so today we're going to be sculpting a three-dimensional, that means it's not flat at all, object. And it can be any object that you want. It could be something that we recognize, like a little teddy bear. That's going to be what I make today. Or it could be something non-objective, meaning it just has some fun lines and shapes, and the model magic has been changed to a fun color too. So it'll be 100% up to you what you sculpt and how you accomplish that task. All right, so let me walk you through the steps of how I create my bear for today, and then you can decide what you're going to create. All right, so the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to kind of lay out my sculpture. So I'm pulling off a piece, and that little lump is going to be the body of my little bear. Then I'm going to pull off another piece and lay it above it. Notice I didn't stick it together. I almost did, but I didn't stick it together because, as you can see, as soon as they touch, they want to stay together forever. So I try to keep them a little bit apart. All right, so there's some ears for my bear. This is like a rough sketch. I'm not really actually sculpting. I'm just sort of laying it out so I know that I have enough model magic. And then I'm going to put some little legs down here. Those were his little arms before. I'm going to pull off a little piece that will be his tail. It goes behind him, so I'm just going to like lay it to the side for right now. This little piece is going to be his snout. It's going to be 3D, kind of popping off the front of his face. And then, of course, I'll need a little nose for the end of that snout. I'll need two little eyes, and I'm just putting them over here. I'll remember what they're for. And then I have a little bit extra left over, and I think I'm going to save that to make a tummy, a little white tummy in the center. So I'm going to put that right over here. Okay, now I'm going to start changing the colors. So to change the colors, you simply grab a washable marker like this guy, and you pick up one of your pieces, you tap the color onto the model magic, push it together like a taco that you're closing up, and then start playing with it. As soon as you start playing with it and pulling it apart and squishing it around, it begins to change colors. So the brown marker ink that was inside now is affecting the whole thing. Now there is one downfall to this. Whenever you're using the markers on a white model magic, you will always get a tint of a color. T-I-N-T, a tint. A tint is a light version of a color. So if you notice my marker, it's a super dark brown, but whenever I create my brown with my white model magic, it's actually turning to a very light color. So unfortunately, I just have to go with the flow. That's just how it has to be. It's just how this model magic is. Since it's white to start with, it will always make a tint. So I'm just going to go with it, and I'm going to go ahead and change the body, arms, legs, and all the other pieces that I need to be this color of brown right now. All right, so I have all of the body colored. I even made the snout a darker brown by adding some black to it. And I also made the eyes and the nose black. I know, right? They look like a dark bluish gray. That's again one of the downfalls of using model magic with Crayola ink. Sometimes the colors don't come out exactly as you anticipate, so I just have to go with the flow. I'm going to let those still be the eyes and the nose, even though they're not exactly the color I wanted them to be. But I used the same technique to make them. All right, so now we're ready to start actually sculpting. So I'm gonna start with the head and I'm going to roll it between the palms of my hands to make a perfect sphere. Not a spear, a sphere, which is a 3D circle. Then I'm going to grab his snout, make it into kind of a sphere as well, but maybe a little bit longer, and then stick it right to the front. Now remember, once Model Magic touches Model Magic, it is stuck there literally forever. So you need to think before you place things, make sure you're putting it in the right spot. So I put that on, and now I'm just going to continue making noses, making eyes, and making any changes that I need to make. So I realized that my nose amount was too much. That was going to be a ginormous nose. So I went ahead and took some off. I'm going to use a nice sharp pencil to poke a couple of little nostrils in here for my little guy. So you can use pencils to poke holes as well. The one thing I don't want you to do is I don't want you to draw on the Model Magic with any of the markers, or any kind of marker for that matter. If you were to draw on the Model Magic, it would look good for right now. However, over time, the ink sort of like spreads and smears and doesn't look very nice. So only change the Model Magic color before you start sculpting like we've already done. And then once you've begun sculpting, you really don't want to be adding any more ink to your Model Magic. All right, I'm going to complete mine. Let's see how it looks. So while I'm working on his little hands, I use my fingernails to press little lines to make the separation between his toes. And then as soon as I'm done with his legs and arms, I'm going to start working on his tail. And I want his tail to have a different texture. So I am rolling the Model Magic on my watch band, which has an interesting texture. So that's why I rolled that on my watch band, was to pick up the texture from it. And now when I get to the end, I realize I have this little bit of extra, so I don't want to waste it. So I'm going to actually make it into a little ball. So I'm going to pretend that my little bear hair has a little ball that he's playing with. So I'm just adding some different color to it so it looks different than what it did before. And I'm going to make a little ball and put it in little bear's hand. Well, there we have it, my sculpting 5th graders. Isn't he adorable? So I have my little bear, and he is truly 3D because he is not flat at all. I can turn him to the right, I can turn him to the left, I can see how wide he is, I can turn him to the bottom and to the top, and I can see how tall he is, and I can turn him to the front and to the back to see how long he is. So he definitely has height, width, and length, and that is the key to all 3D art. Okay, so I hope you had a great time making your little sculpture. Set this aside, let it dry, but don't lose it. Put it with your non-objective work of art and your landscape, because the next thing we're going to do together is build that little 3D gallery. So keep track of these and come back here next week so that we can begin our 3D gallery together. All right, see you next week back here at the Heart of a Viking.